Hello, this is Astro Breeze, and today I want to talk a little bit about chart reading. We've been talking a little bit about relationship charts, and this will work with both if you go look at a natal or if you look at two people. So we'll just start with one. We'll look at a natal chart here of Jamie Oliver, a cook, an author, cooking show, and let's look at him. So first thing, let's look at, because you have to start somewhere, and a lot of times I start in different places, but if I had to kind of give you some rules of thumb, let's start with looking at the sun and the moon. And we'll look at these in a few different ways. It's like combing the hair different ways, looking for fleas and a cat or a dog. Comb it this way, not comb it that way. Terrible example, sorry. Okay, so we've got him, and then I would advise you to have a little piece of paper because it's always good to jot some of these things down. So let's look at this, like him. He's got the sun in Gemini, and he's got the moon over in Capricorn. All right. Wow, look at that. And then we've got a good birth time there too. So he's got an exact 5 degrees to 5 degrees. So we'll find out what that is in a second. So I don't want to just jump too much. So let's look at the sun. Okay, so sun in Gemini. So what do we know about Gemini? Gemini is, let's just go polarity. It's a positive polarity, right? Or masculine sign. It's outward. That's what I mean. Masculine, because it's Gemini. And then let's look at, okay, so we have masculine and positive, and then how about its element? We know that Gemini is an air sign, and we want to look at its quality. Is it cardinal, fixed, or mutable? And we know that it's mutable. So he's got an outward, masculine, creative, mutable air energy, right? So he does a lot of stuff, right? He cooks, he has kids, he teaches cooking, he's got books, he's got shows, he's probably, he's got food programs, he got into schools, he's done a lot of stuff. So that kind of fits that Gemini outward positive experience. Now, on the other side, we're going to look at the sun, and his sun is there in more of a reserved Capricorn. And Capricorn is a feminine sign, right? It's an inward sign. Yeah. All right. And then it is an earth element, and it's a cardinal sign. Now, Capricorn is not the nicest place for the moon. The moon wants to be all cushy and everything, and then Capricorn, the moon in Capricorn is at its detriment. It's like it does not like to be there. So let's just make a little note, detriment. And let's see, there's nothing with the sun in Gemini there's no aspect at all, or rulership or anything there. But we've got a negative side on the moon. Moon's not liking, that. Sun is liking its place, it's creative and doing its thing. But the moon, Capricorn, it's in its detriment. It's opposite of its rulership. It wants to be in cushy Cancer or nice Taurus, plus he's a food guy. But it's like his inner self is maybe pushing the ambition. His feelings feel like he's got to really promote and have all these different things. So it's really driving. But we look at those two and we go, gosh, let's see, positive, negative, nothing common. Earth and air, nothing in common. Mutable, cardinal, nothing in common. So this would be a quincunx, that weird 150 degrees. And him, it's exact. He's at the 5 degrees to 5 degrees. So this is really loud aspect, that 150 degree in him. And that's like mixing things that just don't mix, but doesn't mean he can't make it work. But this is just his emotions inside. But they're in that, he's kind of got them shut off. So maybe he's got to ignore a lot of himself or a lot of cushiness to be that way on the outside. So he's got, and if we look at his houses, see, now that leads me to think, oh, now what has he got on the seventh house cusp? So he's like a Libra rising. So he's got that outward cardinal sign again. They're outward driven, but it's Libra. It's nice and it's pleasant and it's um, yeah, polite. Nice. And then opposite, that's how people see him. But then like with people that are around him with the relationships, he's very Aryan. He's probably real arrogant and bossy, and he probably doesn't say please and thank you to his staff a lot. Do this, do that. Barks out orders rah, 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 over to people, being real Aryan. Maybe just kind of aggressive, maybe a little coarse. Um, Aries, driven, aggressive. I said that. Energized, could be energetic, but these are all traits. If he's having a bad day, he can be a real jerk on that day. If he's got all of his needs met, then things will go much better. So let's look off, see how things just kind of like move like that, and then I can't help but see, like, he goes bing bong bong. I'm looking here and seeing this little grouping of odd Libra energy in he's got Uranus in 29 degrees Libra in the first house, Libra rising, and then Pluto at 6 degrees Libra, both retrograde, in the 12th house. So we've got some interesting Libra energy. Pluto there, there's some depth to finding the truth. Maybe he really wants to bring the depth of harmonious cooking and food there. And then Uranus, he's ingenious and clever in this way. He's inventive, and it's in that first house area. So you'll see a lot of these different quirky, ingenious things about him. Okay, let's move on here. So we already see that the sun and moon are in conflict. Now, moon, 1, 2, 3, moon is in the third house. It is not happy there too. It's in the house of Gemini, but at least it's in maybe where the sun likes to be. So, all right, we'll give it, again, it's not like the best place for the moon, but the moon is like trying to make do, and it's in this house. So it's at least in the house of where like Gemini is, where its ego is. So, all right, we can go, you see how we can kind of maybe lessen the effect of that, because we do have, okay, one little perk, and then the sun is over in intense, house, the 8th house, over in like the Scorpionic house. Okay, so he's, maybe it kind of that sun in that 8th house focuses this Gemini energy, because we notice now we're looking around, we go, oh, we see Mercury in Gemini, so his mind is there too. It's farther away from the sun, so it's not conjunct the sun. He's got a definite identity, a mercurial Gemini. It's not swallowed up by the sun. And then it happened to escape the 8th house, and it's much happier. Mercury, I would think, I don't know, in the 9th house. It would be, well, it was in its opposite, Gemini. It's in the opposite place, because Gemini is down here and Sagittarius is up here. So it's in its opposite place. Hope you understand what I'm saying, of where Gemini is. So that could be interesting. I mean, it's opposite on that, on one level, but it's able to maybe bring that to more of the world, to higher places, which he is he's known all over for all of this stuff. All right, and then as we get closer, now it's like you just can kind of see stuff. I'm gonna go, oh, let's look at his midheaven. It's like, look, you can't help but to see this. Wow, look at this Venus conjunct Saturn right on the midheaven. I mean, pretty close. It's like 26 and there's 19, but it's high in the sky for him. It's up there, it's Venus, rules food, and I mean, Taurus part of it, but it's pleasures, comforts. It's in Cancer, so it's nice, and it's things about the home, food, and then being so close to Saturn, it's going to put some discipline on that, which then makes me think about the moon, back to the moon, because then there would be kind of an opposition there. So now we got a moon opposition Saturn, not so much by degree, even if we give it 10 degrees orb, it's not quite on that, but we still have it by sign. So that's kind of busy. He's got, that drive, with the Saturn and Venus over close to his midheaven, which is what he does in the world and where everybody sees him, and then it's got the cool conflict with that moon. All right, so we can go on and stuff, but I just kind of want to see how you can unpack this. But let's just do a couple more things. We'll go to another chart. Then we see Mars over in its own sign of Aries, and then gets along great with Jupiter in Aries. So big things, and it's over in the work and service, being real organized in that Virgo part. Aries isn't totally happy there, but it could be organized. It adds energy and it adds that Aryan spark to that Virgoan need to put it in order, need to make those recipes, need to put it in a book, need to put it in a blog, need to do all that kind of stuff. So that gives them energy to work, and then on a big level with Jupiter there. Yeah, we can go looking around for a long time, and then we'll start looking at all the aspects, but you can kind of see now how this can start to unfold. All right, let me get a new share. So I gotta go here first. Let's look at Andrew Tate. Make sure you can see this one. This one. Yes, okay, so I hope you can see a chart of Andrew Tate. I do not have a good birth time, so we have to ignore the house placement. But this happens a lot in life. You can't always get a birth time. So let's look at it just with the signs. And again, we can't, he does not have Sag on the midheaven, and he is not an Aquarius rising. I usually set people at like 11:59 or 12 o'clock noon, PM, when I don't have a birth time. Okay, so, but we see, interesting, he's born on a new moon, pretty much. Like we could see that the sun and moon could be close. Now, I set this at noon, and we know that it moves like 12 degrees a day. So the moon could either be 6 degrees further out. So what is that, 9 and 6, 15. So the moon could be as far as 15 Sag, or it could be 3 degrees Sag. So it's definitely solid Sag moon, and it is definitely, if we go either way, it will be, floating around the sun in a conjunction there with the sun. So that's intense, that's powerful, and he's got it over here with Saturn. So let's just kind of, the moon is somewhere around in here, but we got this nice little, he's actually, I think 4 planets, 4 more is a stellium. He's got this big stellium there in Sagittarius. Well, Saturn, this guy, people listen to this guy. He is known. He is like a man talking to men. He's urging men, boys, that are, he's like, you're fat and overweight. Well, you start getting on a program. You better get, you have no testosterone. Let's get you being a man. You've been told that you've been a whoop all your life. We can get you back in shape, he's pretty hardcore. But he is like, I think he was like the most Googled man. One of those things about him. And he is really, really good at empowering men. And, he's got all this stuff in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's an outward masculine sign, right? So see how we're starting in similar but different? So we just drawn to seeing, sun and moon. It's like right there, all that Sagittarian energy. So both of those are getting along. He likes himself. He can agree with himself. His ego and his feelings are on board with himself. And Saturn, and he's got that discipline. He is disciplined, and he can help you get disciplined. Look at that. That's just right there. And then over there, Uranus there, it just adds a spark of unusualness. He doesn't mind speaking back to authority. He doesn't mind calling out the truth in a real in-your-face kind of way. Of course, we've got Mercury in Scorpio. He is going to be, he's not going to spare words. He's going to tell you how it is. He's going to rip you a new asshole. He's going to go up and down and tell you how it is. And then Pluto there in its own sign, if we're looking at that one. on the outer planets, rather than traditional. But it's in a place where it likes to be. So that gets along. And look at Venus. That's the only one that's kind of strange. Venus over there in Scorpio. So that just makes him have intense passion, intense desires, intense, I mean, probably makes a lot of money. Could have tangles with women, can be falsely accused by women, because Scorpio is a lot of that type of energy. It's just what come to mind there. So anyway, and then he's got that Venus Pluto conjunction. I mean, it's not real tight, but it's pretty close. So we've got that intensity with this guy. All right, let's look around and see Mars. Oh, Mars. Whoa. In soft, cushy, this Pisces. Ooh, and then Jupiter in Pisces. Like, well, that's fine. That sits in its own sign. But which adds strength to this, though. So this is interesting. I wouldn't think that just by looking at him. It's like his energy and how he is. All of this makes so much sense. But this is like, wow. Mars and Pisces. That's like, it expands out. It's like, it's not the best place for Mars. Mars wants to be in Aries, or wants to be in Scorpio, or some Taurus. It doesn't want. I mean, it could be stronger there. It wants to be in Capricorn. It could be happy in a lot of other places. But wow. So what could that give to him? Mars. I mean, I wish I knew the houses, but that could give him a more ethereal energy. He can pace his energy. He can intuit how he runs his drive and energy. It could calm down a lot of that arrogance. I mean, you're not going to stop this Mercury and Scorpio, but it's that when he's speaking to you this harshly, it's speaking the truth. He's not just blowing smoke up his butt. He's being real. I'm being real with you, bro. That hat looks stupid, and that shirt, might as well take it off. Why don't you get something better for yourself, man? He's that kind of person. I'll get you. If you look like that, you're not going to get no dates. All right, let's do one more. Try and get a new share. I can't do it that way yet. Let me go to Andrew Tate. Get you a new one. New share. All right, let's go to Stevie Wonder. And make sure you've got this. All right, there's Stevie Wonder. Okay, 4:15, I do have a good time for him. But let's go check out his sun, sun, moon, everything. So sun in Taurus. Wow, and he's getting his sun and look at Mercury at the 23 is right over where Uranus is now. It'd be interesting to check out what's going on in his life. Okay, sun in Taurus 22, and then we've got. Let's just say what that is. We know that that's positive or feminine. I'm sorry, negative or feminine. Feminine. It's Earth. It's fixed. And then we got the moon in Aries. Whoa, right next door. Then we got masculine. We've got fire, and we've got cardinal. So you remember things right next to each other and 150 degrees away pretty much have nothing in common. I think it's almost worse right next door, because each one is like like Taurus is nature's answer to Aries, excessive Aries. In the opposite, in these quincunx, it's a little bit different. But anyway, so he's got. Let's look at his sun. Okay, so sun, and then we got Mercury right there as well. So sun and Mercury in Taurus. So that's interesting. So his mind, he can just feel, with the Taurian thing, he just feel things. It's interesting. And then the sun, I mean, the moon over there in Aries, it's like, they're not getting along. So he's got some, you know, he's got a disagreement with himself. I wouldn't say he really likes himself. He might like what he's become. He probably didn't like what he had to born into. But you never know if you're blind. You don't know, unless you saw before. But anyway, there's a little oddities there. It just doesn't fit. Doesn't work. And then you just look down and whoa, Venus, and then the North Node all over there in Aries. Ooh. So Venus in Aries, that's a little rough. That's not the best place. That's not the most lover type of place for Venus. And then the moon there too. So I wouldn't think. I mean, some of the songs he's written with those placement is very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's not like, it doesn't seem like the Cyrano de Bergerac kind of poet that he is. But I mean, we have the mind thinking in Taurian things, but it's not like a Venusian. But then you go, what rules that? It's Venus. So there's our kind of a little movement there. Okay, so what else can we see here? We've got a Cancer at the midheaven, and we have a Libra rising. All right, so we've got a cardinal sign overlay. Let's look at the Venus rising. So he's also got Neptune right there in his first house, almost about to rise. It's just below the horizon, but it's there in Libra. So Neptune, in Libra, there's where we might see that poetic, looking at others. It's like he's looking at others, Libra, in a poetic way. His rising and that Neptune right there. That's where that enchantment, his lyrics and how interesting, he writes, and then the very unusualness of his writing and the depths of it, and how many he's what I like about Stevie Wonder is he's got lots of different flavors in his music. He doesn't, even though he sings most of himself, he sounds different in a lot of his songs. He's not boring to listen to. And we got Uranus close to the midheaven. It's in Cancer. So it's a very interesting, very interesting, Uranus, that planet of unusual stuff in that nice cushy Cancer, or cardinal sign. It could be like manipulative on another level. It's like, oh baby, would you please give me that? Please go give me that. I can't see to get it. It's, oh sure, kind of out of the blue like that. Taking a look back around here. So his energies are, I want to look for, where is it? Mars, there we go. I was looking right at it. Mars in Virgo and Saturn in Virgo. Let's see. Interesting, most of his stuff is on the upper part of the chart. His sun and the moon are in the upper hemisphere. So this is, all about him in the world. The moon, the sun and moon are in Mercury, they're on the side of the chart of relationships and others. So this could also be about how he writes a lot of that. And then, all the performance and people seeing him and his whole, Saturn in Virgo, he's got to be very structured about, how he does Saturn things. It's a nitpicky Virgo, so that's kind of interesting. That's maybe part of the music. He's got to know music, write the music, write the songs, orchestrate the songs, have the band do, he's got a lot of commanding, which I think that's what he feels. That's where the moon is. And then the moon in the seventh house in Aries, interesting, because like moon in the seventh house always wants partner. They want to be around somebody, but then he's kind of gruff about it. Yeah, being in Aries. It's like, dude, I wish you were like you wrote. Yeah, I don't know him. I'm just like looking at some of these things and how you can pick stuff out. yeah, Venus and Neptune below the line in the bottom part of the chart, that might be, it's below there. So he's maybe getting, and it's almost an opposition. It's like 7 degrees off, Venus and Neptune, Venus and the ascendant. So there's, balancing others, other and then females in his work, and writing love songs, and having all that love, people, others relationship back and forth there, and then back over to the sun and Mercury, kind of grounds that energy, kind of makes that real earthiness to it. So this is how we can go. We can just look at these, look at what start at the sun, start at the moon, see where they're at, just check out, are they masculine or feminine? Feminine is inward, masculine is outward in that sign. Is it cardinal, fixed, or mutable? Is it, fire, earth, air, and water? Is it in the top half of the chart or the bottom? Are more things on the left or the right? Um, do you have the birth time? Can you see the ascendant in the midheaven? Are there things around the ascendant in the midheaven? When there's just more action on that in that life. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that and learned to pick some things out. You could do the same thing with two charts. You'd look at both the suns, both the moons, this one's moon to this one's sun, that one's moon to this one's sun. Start getting just a flavor like that. How are all those energies getting along? You don't have to do everything. And with a lot of times, I like to take out the outer planets and just look at the inner ones. But I had this on here today just because we could see a little broader scope. All right, have fun with that, and we will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.